My ex-husband leaned back in his courtroom chair with the smug confidence of a man who believed he'd won everything. His expensive suit was perfectly pressed. His attorney was already stacking files, expecting the hearing to end within minutes. Across the room, people whispered as the judge reviewed the final settlement. Then my lawyer slowly stood up. "Your Honor," she said, her voice unusually calm, "before the judgment is finalized, we'd like to submit one final piece of evidence." My husband's smile didn't even twitch. He looked at me and laughed under his breath. "Still trying to fight?" he whispered. "You already gave up everything." The courtroom heard him. I simply met his eyes and smiled. My lawyer placed a thick envelope on the clerk's desk. The judge opened it. His expression changed instantly. His eyebrows lifted. He read the first page again. Silence swallowed the room. My husband's attorney leaned forward. "What is it, Your Honor?" The judge looked directly at my husband. "Mr. Harrison, did your attorney know about this?" The victorious smile disappeared from his face. "What are you talking about?" The judge slowly removed another document. "I believe this changes everything." A pen rolled off someone's desk. Nobody moved. My husband looked at me for the first time with genuine fear. He had absolutely no idea what was coming. But that's not where this story began. 3 months earlier, after 12 years of marriage, my husband decided he didn't just want a divorce. He wanted complete destruction. His name was Ethan, and success had changed him. The promotion he'd chased for years finally came through. The expensive car followed, then the designer suits, then the younger coworkers who laughed a little too hard at every joke he made. Soon, I became an inconvenience. I was the woman who had stayed home to raise our twins while he built his career. I had paused my own ambitions because we had agreed our children deserved one parent fully present. Apparently, that sacrifice had an expiration date. One evening, he walked into the kitchen while I was helping our twins with homework. "I'm leaving." No emotion, no apology, no hesitation. He slid divorce papers across the table as casually as if he were handing me grocery coupons. "I've already hired an attorney." The twins looked at us with confused eyes. He didn't even glance at them. That should have told me everything. Over the next several weeks, Ethan transformed into someone I barely recognized. Every discussion became a battle. He demanded the house. He demanded nearly every investment account. He insisted I assume most of the household debts because I had been living comfortably. His exact words still echo in my mind. "You haven't earned any of this." That was his first mistake. Friends began disappearing. Mutual acquaintances stopped returning my calls. I later learned Ethan had been telling everyone that I'd become unstable after the separation. He painted himself as the hardworking husband escaping an emotionally difficult wife. People believed him. Why wouldn't they? He was charming, successful, confident. I was simply a stay-at-home mother carrying 2 exhausted toddlers through the grocery store while wondering how I'd pay next month's bills. Even my own lawyer struggled to understand me. She spread the settlement papers across her conference table. "You don't have to accept these terms. I know. We can fight this. I know. He wants almost everything. I understand." She stared at me. "You seem unusually calm." I smiled politely. "I am." She shook her head. "I've practiced family law for 20 years. People don't stay this calm unless they're hiding something." I simply changed the subject. "Remember that detail. It matters later." Meanwhile, Ethan became bolder. He started bringing his new girlfriend to public places where he knew I'd be. She wasn't much older than some of his interns. One afternoon, while picking up the twins, she actually smiled and said, "I guess everything happens for a reason." Ethan laughed. I upgraded. Our children heard every word. I didn't react. That seemed to irritate him even more. He wanted tears. He wanted anger. He wanted proof that he'd broken me. Instead, I wished them a pleasant afternoon. Nobody understood why. Not yet. As mediation continued, Ethan grew even more aggressive. He rejected compromise after compromise. His attorney looked increasingly uncomfortable. But Ethan insisted, "Take everything. If she wants a war, she'll lose." My lawyer whispered to me after one meeting. "He's overplaying his hand." "I know. Why are you letting him?" I looked out the window. "Because some people only destroy themselves when nobody gets in their way." She frowned. I could tell she thought grief had clouded my judgment. She wasn't alone. Even my parents begged me to fight harder. But I had already made my decision long before Ethan filed for divorce. The clues had been there for years. Small things, late-night phone calls, hidden financial transfers, business meetings that somehow happened every weekend. While Ethan believed I wasn't paying attention, I quietly documented everything. Every statement, every receipt, every transfer, every email. I never confronted him, I simply organized it. He had no idea. Months before filing for divorce, Ethan had secretly moved company funds through shell accounts connected to a side business. He assumed nobody would ever notice. After all, he handled corporate finances. What he didn't know was that years earlier, when he asked me to help organize his business records, I'd quietly earned additional accounting certifications online. Not because I planned revenge, because I wanted to return to work someday. Those classes taught me exactly what financial fraud looked like. Nobody in that room knew the truth. As court approached, Ethan became unbearable. He mocked my clothes. He mocked my old car. He even joked outside the courtroom. "Hope you enjoy apartment shopping." His friends laughed. I smiled. That bothered him more than any argument ever could. Then came the hearing. Ethan walked in looking like a man already celebrating victory. His attorney confidently summarized the agreement. "The respondent has voluntarily accepted all terms." The judge looked surprised. "So you're agreeing?" "Yes, Your Honor." Even my lawyer looked stunned. She leaned toward me. "This is your last chance." "I'm aware." Then Ethan made the biggest mistake of his life. He couldn't resist humiliating me one final time. As everyone prepared to leave, he loudly announced, "Turns out marrying for love is expensive." Several people laughed nervously. Then he added, "Good luck starting over at 40. Silence. He thought he'd delivered the final blow. Instead, he had opened the door. My lawyer stood. "Your Honor, before today's proceedings conclude." The envelope appeared. Inside were forensic accounting reports, corporate banking records, email chains, hidden transactions, signed authorizations, everything connected perfectly. The judge read quietly, then looked directly at Ethan. "When exactly were you planning to disclose these offshore transfers?" Color drained from Ethan's face. "What?" His attorney grabbed the documents. Seconds later, he stepped backward, as if he'd touched electricity. "You never told me about any of this." His voice cracked. "I can explain." "No," his attorney whispered. "I don't think you can." Gasps echoed through the courtroom. The judge immediately suspended the divorce ruling. A forensic investigation was ordered. Corporate counsel was notified before anyone even left the courthouse. Federal investigators would later become involved. That victorious smile Ethan wore only minutes earlier completely vanished. That was where everything changed. The weeks that followed felt unreal. His employer launched an internal audit. More hidden transactions surfaced. Then more. Then even more. The company terminated him immediately. Civil lawsuits followed. Criminal investigators interviewed multiple executives. His new girlfriend quietly disappeared from his life within days. Friends stopped answering his calls. The same people who had mocked me suddenly avoided eye contact whenever we crossed paths. The divorce settlement was completely rewritten. The assets Ethan tried so desperately to hide became central evidence. Instead of leaving with nearly everything, he walked away with almost nothing. Our twins remained safely with me. The home stayed with us. Financial support was recalculated. The judge specifically referenced Ethan's dishonesty when issuing the final orders. Justice didn't arrive with shouting, it arrived with paperwork. Months later, I returned to work. The accounting certifications I'd quietly completed years earlier helped me secure an excellent position with a respected financial consulting firm. Ironically, companies hired us to detect exactly the kind of fraud Ethan had committed. Life became peaceful. Our twins laughed again. Our home finally felt safe. As for Ethan, the last I heard, he was still fighting legal battles that began with his own greed. Sometimes people think revenge is about making someone suffer. It isn't. Real revenge is allowing the truth to arrive exactly when your opponent believes they've already won. I never screamed. I never begged. I never chased him. I simply waited, because patience gave the truth enough time to catch up with him. And when it finally did, it hit far harder than anything I could have done myself.